Have you ever been in a social situation?
No.
Maybe at school or an event. Maybe even just meeting someone new. And then there's a plane. And then this question pops up. So, what are you into? And you get this pit in your stomach. Not because what you like is bad or socially inappropriate in any way, but because you're embarrassed. Embarrassed to admit your interest. Someone could say they like the same exact thing as you, and you would think that that's so cool, and not even consider it embarrassing in the slightest. But as soon as you start thinking about telling someone, you start lying or dancing around the subject. That's my dance. In one of my last videos, I had a few people sharing that sometimes they don't share their interests due to them being embarrassed, or afraid of being made fun of or teased because of it. And as a lot of people were saying, sometimes this embarrassment doesn't come from the media itself, but rather the fans or fandoms surrounding that media. Kind of like the feeling when you're so excited to show someone something you absolutely adore or think is the coolest thing ever, but as soon as you do, things that you once thought were so cool suddenly start feeling cringe or lame. So, my wrist. I'm like a squeaky door. So today, my friends, I thought we would have a chat. You already know. Right this way. Come on guys. Follow me. Coochie.
Nope. Just stop talking now.
Lightning strike me. Welcome to something I like to call the Cringe Affect. Ooh. Smooth. I hate that word, actually. I don't want to call it that at all. Saying cringe makes me cringe. I don't like the way the words sound when it appears in my mouth. This is something that appears internally when it comes to sharing your interest. You start to feel embarrassed about something you were never embarrassed about before, even if the people around you are also enjoying the thing that you're sharing. For example, when sharing a song that you really like, you press the play button and all of a sudden, the song sounds like the silliest, goofiest thing you've ever heard in your life. Or maybe explaining the plot or story of your favorite movie or show, and it starts to sound childish or extremely corny when it didn't before. Someone asking you what you're currently watching, and then you have to explain that it's a YouTube animated series. And you get the feeling like you probably should have said something like Bridgerton or Love is Blind, Ohio, because the second someone else is listening, you start to hear it through their ears, so to speak. You start feeling more self-aware about yourself and your actions, about if people will start seeing you as childish or lame, or associate you with, and I'm using this very lightly, that side of the fandom. Pay attention, my friends. Pay attention, look at these. And you start having all this internalized judgment, all these negative thoughts and feelings you didn't have before when you were experiencing that thing that brought you so much comfort and joy. And obviously, I know what I'm talking about, right? I just have to, look at this guy. Look at this guy, you see him? Look at this. And it can start to get you to wonder, where does this embarrassment come from? In here. My noggin. He's back. This is my pony, my horse. And if you've been here for a while, you know what that means. I do my very best in every single one of my videos to make sure everything is well researched. But if I missed something or got something wrong, please feel free to inform me down below. I more than appreciate being educated on certain topics. As well as in this video and every single one of my other videos, hateful behavior is never ever encouraged. This video is not meant to make anyone feel bad or promote any bullying or hateful behavior. And lastly, in this video, when I'm talking about interests that may be seen as embarrassing or interest in general, I'm talking about appropriate, well-meaning interests that don't put anyone or children in harm's way. Obviously, I'm never promoting creepy behavior. I know these disclaimers can get a little bit annoying and feel unimportant, but you'd be surprised, wouldn't you? People still comment crazy things even with the disclaimer. So, thank you guys for bearing with me. Let's get into the meat. All right, pony. Ooh, oh gosh, oh my god, okay, chill.
Chill.
If you have seen any of my other videos, you know that the internet rewards making fun of things. We've built an online culture where being ironic is safer than being sincere, to an absolutely
bonkers
degree. You don't have to dig very far to find millions of comments and videos making fun of something. And for a long time, it was fandom culture. Whether that be cosplaying, making OCs, fan art, attending conventions, anything slightly more nerdy, which did really bring people in fandom spaces together over this similar experience of being bullied. But James Baxter. But, not all the time. Unfortunately, a lot of feeling embarrassed about your interest and your hobbies come from people also enjoying those interests or hobbies. This embarrassment isn't about the thing that you like, it's about how you think other people will judge you for liking it. Psychologists describe embarrassment as a self-conscious emotion triggered by how we think others see us. Anything that is deemed cringe or unfunny within the community or fandom space can often leave those individuals feeling isolated. Maybe you shared a cosplay or some fan art that didn't meet the expectations of the people around you in that community. And instead of people interacting with it in a kind way or just scrolling past, they often just deem it as cringe or bully the individual because of their physical appearance or their skill level.
This creator turned off stitches, but I want to actually answer to why fandoms are supposedly boring nowadays, and it's honestly because of some of y'all. I'm not joking, some of y'all truly are just vile, and you actually don't make it a good space for anyone to really express themselves. Whatever happened to fandom being whimsical and creative? The second that someone does something that you deem cringe, you somehow equate that to being the worst thing ever, and then you make it a spectacle for everybody and make it all of our problem. I've seen the people who screenshot others' fan art, others' fan fiction, just to make fun of them, just to be like, haha guys, look at this is so bad, oh my god. And instead of just positively interacting with other people that share your same interests, or even just ignoring and blocking people that you don't want to see, you make it a spectacle and you want to be the mean girl because you're not a mean girl in high school, so you have to take it out online. You want to be normal so badly that you tear down others for acting abnormal in a fandom, and honestly that's not going to get you anywhere. And then you have the audacity to complain like, oh my god, my fandom is so dead. Some of you guys don't even contribute to fandom whatsoever. You just complain, and then you demand others to create what you want in the end, and you're honestly just a passive consumer that doesn't really contribute anything. At the end of the day, a lot of people who are participating in fandom, it's just a hobby and it's on their own free will, and some of you guys really just don't open that space up for people to express themselves. That's why your fandom is supposedly dead.
I reached out to that creator, by the way, got their permission to share those thoughts. If you are of the Unk variety, go check out their art. It's so cute and silly. Thank you, wise one. But as you guys know, I have talked about those things and similar things in the past. So if you want to deep dive into those insecurities, here you go here. Things like the feeling of being a beginner artist online, as well as like feeling too unconventionally attractive to post your cosplays and things like that. And a big contributing factor to this feeling is that sometimes fandom spaces, let me say that again, sometimes a lot of negativity and bullying can fester in fandom spaces. Like the kind of mold that looks so pretty and so nice, but then it gets in your lungs and then you
Die.
And over the years with things like the pandemic, when everyone was isolated in their homes, a lot of people gravitated towards social media, as well as short form content like TikTok, Reels, and YouTube Shorts. Lightning strike, and being exposed to all these different communities led people to wanting to try and get into some more nerdy hobbies. Guys, does the back of my head look embarrassing? Guys, you would tell me if the back of my head looked embarrassing, right? You wouldn't lie to me? Liking things earnestly can leave you feeling vulnerable and like a target, especially for those in the neurodivergent spectrum who might experience things like special interest, where they dedicate a lot of time and energy into a specific hobby or piece of media. They like to learn the lore, collect as many trinkets as they can, and while doing so, it can even help people build communities and friendships. But when trying to express those things to strangers or people who may not know as much, it can feel embarrassing to some degree when you're so excited and passionate about something to only see that the other person has completely checked out, which is really no one's fault, because sometimes people are more interested in something than others. It happened to me recently with Markiplier's movie Iron Lung. I will happily info dump for hours about the game and the movie and what went into making the movie and the blood eel, but I will say I was so embarrassed after watching the movie for a second time, coming out with a little group we were watching the movie with, where I was more excited to talk about it than anyone else. I just like that big blood eel. She's beautiful. She's cool. She's awesome. I don't know. But now that we know that this embarrassment can come from that fear of being bullied, outcasted, or even misunderstood by people outside and even sometimes people inside a community or fandom, it can also come from a secondhand embarrassment kind of feeling, or not wanting to be associated with a certain type of person or a certain stereotype that surrounds the media that you're interested in. Things like famous fandom incidences. Is incidences a word? Fandom stereotypes. A lot of people for many years, including myself, have been bullied or labeled negative things just for having an interest in something completely normal. For example, growing up liking anime was considered weird. Liking animation memes on YouTube was considered cringe. Liking certain things like drawing or Hatsune Miku's music could get you labeled as corny. Not when I was growing up, probably a much not nicer word. Sometimes people who make fun of or bully others have not seen or know anything about the media that they're picking on someone else for, but rather the fandom's reputation. And I'm sure we can all think of a few fandom incidences. I actually made a video about quite a few of them. The Homestuck Sharpie Bath, the Spit Bucket, Rainbow Dash Jar, Bakugo poster, needle cookies, you name it. There's probably some out there, and those moments are the things people remember. Again, I feel like I have to say this. We're talking about normal interest here, okay? Keep with me. And sometimes fandom incidences can bring people together. If everyone is safe and no one's put in harm's way, it can be a fun thing that everyone in the community can laugh about. And then sometimes the incident is so horrid or someone is put in physical or mental danger that it leaves the whole media feeling tainted. Just because one person put Rainbow Dash in a jar doesn't mean that everyone does. For me, I have the monster from Cut the Rope in a Jar. Just kidding. That was an excuse to show off this little guy. How cute is he? Boom! But people start to fear being associated with that type of fan.
I hate being too embarrassed to say that I like a certain show because of how insufferable the fandom can be, or how corny the show can be at times, because I'll immediately get attacked for liking the show because people will associate how the fandom behaves to how I behave. And it's so frustrating because no, I will not crash out if you like the same character as me. And no, I don't like a character only because of their looks.
So even if people are a fan of something, they'll try and hide it, or they'll try not to bring it up around others to avoid being made fun of for it, even if that one incident was an isolated event. And the majority of people don't agree or support that individual's actions, and that fear of being that type of fan is mainly to avoid bullying or to try and fit in. So let's talk about bullying and social conditioning. Oh no! YouTuber help Gage, he can't hear us! He's got AirPods in! Look at my case! Look!
So cute!
If someone is accidentally doing or supporting something harmful to themselves or others, politely informing them and educating them is not an issue at all. Fill my brain with knowledge it did not know before. But bullying and making fun of others for being cringe or corny, a lot of us have experienced that or are experiencing it right now. Taking one look at my background, I mean, take a look. It's actually kind of a mess. What the back of my head look like? You can probably assume I've been through it. This is gonna expose me a little bit, but you guys already know. You already know. When I was in middle school, hold on. I used to bring my Dan and Phil books to school for independent reading time. These right here, these exact, you can actually see my bookmarks. Oh my god, wait a minute. A relic in time was found. Look at that. Wow.
Ow, 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 ow. Hey, let me go.
For those of you who don't know, they're just little British YouTubers. And obviously, other guys my age thought they were gay and lame and cringe. And so when I brought my little books to school, I was bullied quite a bit. Who would have guessed such a thing? So after a while, I stopped telling people around me. Even now as I'm writing this script, actually no, I'm not feeling embarrassed anymore. But there was nothing wrong with liking Dan and Phil. I still watch them to this day, so clearly the bullying didn't do anything but
Make me sad.
being in school or in social environments, whether it be out with friends or sometimes even in your own home, being outside the norm is punished in some way, shape, or form. So we shrink ourselves before anyone else gets the chance to do it for us. Sometimes we preemptively hide things to avoid that pain and discomfort. It can be in small ways, like hiding an interest in fear of bullying, to extreme ways, where people hide things about themselves, their culture, and sometimes their body, in fear of being put in harm's way. Some people do feel this survival instinct to try and fit in the best they can to avoid these negative situations and reactions from others. So of course, we start policing ourselves.
This is a reminder that if a kid doesn't feel safe enough to talk to you about their interests, like Pokemon or a recent Lego build or their favorite movie, then they probably won't feel safe enough to talk to you about their problems and their feelings.
11 or 12 years ago, me and the kiddo were at Walmart, and they asked if while Mom was shopping, we could go look at the toys, and I said, sure. They were super into My Little Pony at the time, so of course we hightailed it over to the My Little Pony section. There's a little boy and a little girl already in the aisle, and the little girl's probably about 4, and the little boy was maybe about 8. And we were looking at the My Little Ponies, and the little boy, he keeps staring over at me, this kind of stare. And at first I thought like maybe I was just kind of menacing. I'm a big person. I've had people tell me that, you know, before knowing me, that I look kind of menacing. But what he's doing is he's looking at me, and then he's looking back at the toys before looking at me. And he's very slowly like stepping away from the toys. And what I clock is that he's also excited to look at the toys. He's also excited to nerd out on whatever his favorite My Little Pony stuff is. And he is seeing me as someone that is unsafe. He is seeing me as someone that it is not okay for him to be himself around. And what this makes me think is that at home, he's not allowed to be himself either.
So even if we don't personally believe in bullying others for liking nerdy things or having different hobbies that are seen as cringe, we can still feel that pressure when it comes to ourselves and our own interests. So let's briefly mention that double standard. For most of us, we're very good at extending our kindness and excitement to others. When we see people post online about our favorite media, you feel comfortable liking, sharing, reposting, commenting, whether it be privately or publicly on an account where no one knows who you are. This anonymity lets you express things freely, without the fear of being bullied or made fun of. And before you say anything, has downsides as well. Not the point of this video here, right? But I hear you. I hear your words. But I know a lot of people who would defend their favorite characters and theories like that life is on the line through comment sections. But when it comes to ourselves, we think of it as embarrassing for us to express it. Some people feel this immense dread when having to share their personal accounts with their friends and family. And I will admit, even for me, I avoid it like the plague. Even before doing YouTube, heaven forbid, I had to explain my cosplays on my Instagram account to coworkers or classmates. No thanks. We all have this internalized insecurity, but we also have a right to protect ourselves, as we don't have to open up to every single person in our lives. But if you're afraid to share anything with people you want to create a closer bond to, you run the risk of feeling isolated even when you're around your closest of friends. So let's talk about the cost of hiding your interest. Sharing things that you love and are interested in, things that make you who you are today, is so important. But having that fear ever looming over you, controlling how you express yourself, can often make you feel isolated around others. Family and friends around you may never know what gifts to get you on special occasions like birthdays or holidays, because of that fear, dare I say, of being cringe or being seen as immature. Hiding your interest can lead to you missing out on making connections with people, your community and friends just as passionate as you. You can't find your people if you never let anyone see you for you. And I know that that can be difficult, this fear of losing everyone you already have in your life. But I promise it's worth it to let those people go, because you deserve to be known as you are in your entirety. You know what time it is? My favorite phrase, to be cringe, is to be free. Being a little bit cringe just means earnest joy without irony. Being passionate and enthusiastic about something is how communities and fandoms are formed. We wouldn't have cosplays or conventions if people weren't overly passionate about something. Every cool thing that's ever existed because someone was cringe enough to care deeply about it. Finding people with similar joys is one of the best parts about being alive. I have literally filled my home with labors of love. I have art posters and art prints everywhere. I'm just going to be showing them throughout this whole video, I bet. I have figures literally everywhere. New addition to the family. These are my newest additions. A few people have asked me about these, so if you want like a dedicated video, let me know. Even if you personally don't create things for the media that you love, supporting others who do is such a good feeling. I remember this wonderful artist. I wish I could remember their name. As I was walking past, I saw this art piece that they had of Neja 2, and I stopped and talked to them about Neja for like 5 minutes. Or this other amazing artist. Wish I could remember the names of these people, because I was asking what character was on one of their prints, because I've seen them a few times online and I didn't know what they were from. It was Till from Alien Stage. Take a look at the back. Because of that conversation, I decided to give it a watch. And now my home is infested. What's on your plate?
Cheese and chapati!
What's on your plate? So thank you so much to whoever that artist was. Sometimes being alive can be super embarrassing. Like that, where I just completely said the word embarrassing totally wrong. Sometimes opening up can leave you feeling humiliated, but other times it's how you make lifelong friends or get introduced to your new favorite show or hobby. It's okay to be cringe a few times in your life. It's better than feeling like no one really knows who you are and you have no space to express your joy or interest. Overcoming that embarrassment is not easy to do. I struggle with it as well. I'm no powerful, all-knowing wizard. I'm very, very human to a fault. I wish I had this front some other creators do where they're like,
Welcome back, everyone. Everything is so great and jolly all the time.
but I don't. Sometimes I'm nervous. Sometimes I'm anxious. Sometimes I'm insecure. Sometimes I talk too much and you're bored. Sometimes my hair's fried off to a crisp. But maybe one day I will be all-knowing and all-powerful. One subscriber equals one knowledge. But I know that this is not something that you can overcome all at once with my wise words of wisdom. Like I mentioned before, sometimes we hide things out of necessity or fear, and unlearning that behavior is no easy task. This video isn't meant to make you feel like you need to rush. It's just here to let you know that other people experience it too. And even opening up about that is something you can bond over. Feeling comfortable with yourself is something that will always change. And so will your interest. Throughout the timeline of my life, when it comes to sharing my interests, yes, it may have caused some bullying by friends, family members, other people around me, but it also made me some really good friends. I was not alone, baby. No. I had a really good friend who was right beside me, bringing their Dan and Phil books as well. And we got bullied together. And I bring this up a lot, so sorry if you already know, this is super annoying. Bear with me for
Dramatic effect.
even though I was pulled out of school because of bullying, I never shut up about the things that I love. Sharing my interests with others is probably one of the only reasons I was able to make it through so many years of my life so far. Even seeing your guys' comments about things in my background or things I bring up in my videos absolutely makes my day. It's so nice to know that you guys are out here loving the same exact things that I do. And we can enjoy them together, yes we can. That's why even in little ways, just wearing a t-shirt or having a pin, a notebook with something you enjoy on is such a good way to 1, express yourself, and 2, find other people who can't wait to talk about that certain media with you. And I think that heavily outweighs all of the negatives. But thank you guys so much for watching. You made it to the end. We did it! If there's anything you would like to see me talk about or cover next, please feel free to inform me down below. Let me know your interests, your hobbies. Tell me it all. I had someone ask me the other day if I could cover more ARG horror type stuff like I did before. And I wouldn't mind doing that if you guys are kind of interested. If you have any media, doesn't have to be horror, you want to hear me talk about, explore the themes and yap about, please let me know. I'd be so down to yap, as you know, about more than just TikTok comments. But as always, a huge shout out to my Patreon and my YouTube members. And you guys,
My little subscribers, thank you so much. Thank you. You don't know the joy that you bring me.
but unfortunately that is all the yapping I have time for today. So, sometime next week.